First stage is going to be to paint this wall black with blackboard paint. I've got to wash the yellow down first with sugar soap solution because it's been up here for a few years now and it's a little bit greasy. So by washing it down it will hopefully give the black a bit more adhesion. I've taken the electrical sockets out over there as well because the light switch is going to be replaced with a dual switch, one to control the lamp in the middle of the room and one to control the fluorescence which will be lighting the background. The plug is also going to be replaced because at present it's a two-way switch and it will be changed to a four-way switch so that it will control the lights better. And if you're wondering why it's so bright in this room at present, it's because we've just had the first fall of snow in February 2012 and it's a bit bright outside. Along this wall there used to be a fitted wardrobe, but as you can see now the wardrobe's been removed. I did sort of cheat somewhat when painting the wall, so to hide that I'm going to put up some wood coloured wallpaper to hide the error. I'm also going to put some shelves up here to put some of the equipment on, and also this is where the boxes holding the bulk of the equipment will stand. Well, here we have one wall duly painted in blackboard paint. I should have taken a hint from the name of the object, which was blackboard paint, because not only did it smell terrible and make my eyes water, the first coat went on like treacle and it ended up using about a third of a tin just to give it one coat. So I used my old dad's trick, which was to put a drop of white spirit in it to make it a bit thin, to make it easier to go on. But unfortunately I made it a little bit too thin and it was splashing about everywhere, and as you can see it's also made it rather patchy. But if I was to do it again I would use black emulsion the next time, make it easier, but I think it would be okay as it is. And here we have the blackout line, which is a sort of rubberized material, and this in itself has also given me quite a few problems. A couple of them are in the design of the actual item. The manufacturer supplied a square peg to go into a round hole, literally, this is the pivot part. The square peg locked, so I've had to re-amend that. Also this part here, which has got the pulley mechanism in, as you pull on that you can see that it rotates round, which is very helpful, so I've had to design another method to get around that. Then the brackets which went up, I decided the brackets were too far away from the top of the window, so I moved the brackets round so that it was closer. But in doing that it meant that there was too much material, which then rubbed on the top of the windowsill, which meant that it wouldn't go up properly. So I've had to trim about 18 inches off the bottom of the blind and then re-sew and re-stitch this. This has a metal bar in it to keep the weight of the thing down, to keep the weight of the curtain, but helpfully when you put the bar in it slides out the opposite end, so that's got to be glued in, which is another problem they didn't envisage. Also, because when the weight of the bar is on the end here, it also unravels itself. There's no means provided by the manufacturers to lock it in any one position, so again I've had to devise another method to lock the chain in position. Here we have the 1-gang electrical socket, which I'm going to use a adapter plate to convert it to a 4-gang electrical socket. It screws to the same screw holes as were originally in the wall, but allows you to increase the number of sockets you can have. Incidentally, you probably noticed I put insulating tape around the ends of the wires. This is so that I could switch the mains back on again whilst I painted the wall and not accidentally touch any of the live wires. If you've got an RCB circuit breaker, don't assume that by pressing the test button everything will be switched off, because I've just found out that it won't. Switch off either each individual switch or at the mains isolator. This switch controls the power points but not the light sockets. Well, I finally managed to get my shelves up on the wall, which proved to be a bit of a pain in more ways than one. The shelves are actually about 6 foot long and about 8 inches deep and made of a wood called Conti board, which is actually quite heavy. As you can see, the top shelf is about 7 foot off the ground, which if you can imagine trying to lift that shelf up 7 foot to fit onto those brackets, and also the awkwardness of drilling underneath. I managed to put my back out in the lower back and the middle shoulder blades, such that for about a week I wasn't able to speak in more than gasps. So it was quite a painful and frightening experience, because it felt like a heart attack, but it's actually something which is known as pseudoangina, because a lot of people do mistake it for a heart attack. But luckily, thanks to the power of ibuprofen and paracetamol, I'm now back on the mend again and able to do a few more bits and pieces around the room. I've managed to put the fluorescent light strips up, and also the photographic background paper rolls. I've got the brackets fixed to the wall ready to be done. The curtain pole has also been made and got the curtain sitting on it, so we're progressing nicely. I've now managed to get the paper background rolls up onto their roller system, which was a bit of a hassle because they're actually quite heavy once they're loaded with paper, and trying to get them up on a single ladder, trying to get the pivot into that end and the bracket into that end was quite a job. I've got an idea of how I'm going to do it next time, using these adjustable wall brackets, which I shall mount on either side and then put shelves on so that I can lift the paper up bit by bit until it's ready to go up onto the top section. I haven't explained why I painted one wall black and used black curtains over the window. The simple answer is that it's to control the light. With yellow walls or white ceilings, the light is actually bounced back onto the subject, whereas in photography you want as much control on the light as you can. So the idea is the black walls and the black curtain and the blackout blind will make the room more or less completely black, so that the only light is from the studio lights onto the actual subject. Talking of light, I've also discovered that the fluorescent lights in the ceiling, whilst lighting the background, I've also got a certain amount of light spilling this way. So I've got to develop something which is called an asymmetric reflector, which will then reflect the light onto the length of the background, but hopefully stop some of the light from falling onto the subject in this direction. These are the other projects I've been working on. The laptop will have the software on it which controls the auto cue, so that the operator can adjust the speed of the scrolling to match the speed of the person that's actually talking. It's also a monitor stand, so that I can put a TV screen on this side facing this direction, so the talent can actually see what they're doing whilst they're actually talking to the camera. These are the posing pods that I've created. They're for people to sit on. As you can see, they're all different heights, so they pack away inside each other like Russian dolls, and they all fit inside this larger tub for storage and transportation. Both of these projects are going to be in separate reports, which will be available shortly.